They tell you that death is a fade to black, a silent curtain call. But they are wrong. Death is not a silence, it is a sound. It sounds like the fabric of the universe tearing apart. I was 43 years old. I was a man of logic, a man of sales quotas, a man buried under the weight of a life I had let spiral out of control. I thought I was just a body, meat, bone, fueled by caffeine and stress. But on a hot July afternoon, in the sterile hallway of a hospital I almost didn't reach, the meat and bone collapsed. And I, the real I, stood up. I didn't just see the light. I walked into the library of the universe. I heard the cries of the lost, and I met the architects who told me, "Go back. You forgot something." It started with the mundane. That's the irony of tragedy. It rarely announces itself with a trumpet and arrives while you're eating a slice of pizza, drinking a soda, ignoring the warning signs your body has been screaming for years. July 9th, 2018. The pain hit me like a spear beneath my ribs. It wasn't just an ache, it was a structural failure. My breath became a labor, a desperate negotiation for oxygen. I remember the drive to the hospital. My wife at the time laughing it off as indigestion, but I knew. There is a primal alarm bell in the DNA that rings only once. It was ringing now. I stumbled into the emergency room entrance. The automatic doors slid open with a hiss, and the world began to tilt. Tunnel vision set in. Literally, it was like looking through a cardboard tube. The edges of reality were fraying, turning gray and fuzzy. I tried to walk toward the desk, but my legs felt like they were moving through wet concrete. The sounds of the hospital, the squeak of rubber shoes, the distant phones became distorted, slowing down into a deep, underwater groan. I saw a nurse. I tried to point. I tried to say, "Help me," my mouth was no longer obeying the command center. The words came out as a garbled, shapeless noise. And then gravity won. My knees buckled. The floor rushed up to meet my face. The moment I hit the floor, I didn't feel the impact. Instead, I heard the sound. Imagine a sheet of heavy, industrial Velcro, miles long, being ripped apart slowly. A grinding, vibrating tear that resonated not in my ears, but in the core of my being. I felt a jolt, electric and violent, like I was punched out of my physical form. And suddenly, I was standing. I looked down. There, crumpled on the linoleum like a discarded coat, was a man. He was overweight. His skin was graying. His mouth hung open. It took me a second to realize, that is me. That was Brian. But I was floating. I was hovering near the ceiling. I could see in 360 degrees simultaneously. I could see the nurse rushing over, the panic, the CPR, but I felt lighter. I looked for the silver cord. You read about it in books. the tether that keeps the soul attached to the body, it was gone. Panic flared, a cold, sharp spike of fear. I am dead. I am actually dead. I tried to speak, but I had no mouth. I tried to touch the wall, but my hand passed through the atoms. But I could feel the wall. I could sense the molecular density of the paint, the coolness of the metal, the frantic vibrations of the nurse's anxiety. I was pure consciousness. And then the panic dissolved. It was washed away by a wave of familiarity. A thought bloomed in my mind, ancient and heavy with truth. I have done this before. This wasn't the end. This was the return. The hospital melted away. The smells of antiseptic and fear were replaced by a fragrance I can only describe as home, like rain on hot pavement, like old books, like a mother's embrace. I was in a space of infinite light. To my right, a presence appeared. It didn't have a human face, but it had a smile. I could feel the smile. It radiated a golden warmth, beaming at me like a childhood friend I hadn't seen in decades. It spoke without words, a telepathic boom that resonated in my chest. You're okay. You have time. Let's walk. We moved, or rather we flowed, into a space that felt like a library without shelves. A white room, endless and perfect. My guide looked at me with mischievous delight. It knew my questions before I asked them. Are you God? I projected the thought. Always, it replied. Are you Jesus? I thought of my grandmother's prayers. Sometimes, it teased, playful as a riddle. Buddha? Krishna? The universe? Yes, and more. You are remembering quickly this time. This time. The words unlocked a vault in my spirit. I realized I had stood in this white room thousands of times. I saw my life as Brian, not as a tragedy, but as a brief semester in a very long school. We entered the hall of records. I saw files, vast, energetic files of everything I had ever done and everything I had ever learned in previous existences. I saw the physics of stars, the biology of trees, the architecture of karma. It wasn't just seeing, it was downloading. I asked, what was my mission? Why did I fail? The guide didn't judge. It just showed me. I saw that I was here to be a healer, a vibration raiser. I had gotten lost in the corporate grind, in the anger of my teenage years, in the sadness of a broken marriage. Then I felt an urge to rise. I periscoped up, pushing my consciousness through a membrane into a higher frequency. The colors here changed: violet, neon indigo, living crimson. And then I heard them, the chorus of the in-between. Where is my wife? An old man's voice cried out in the ether. I can't find my shoes, Mom, a little girl whispered. It hurts. Why does it still hurt? A teenager wept. Thousands of souls, confused, hovering in a gray mist, unaware they had passed. It was a symphony of sorrow. I felt their confusion like a weight. But above them, above them were the giants. Massive, Alex Gray-style entities of geometric light. They were working tirelessly, comforting the lost, guiding the confused. They were the triage nurses of the afterlife. I looked at one of the giants. It turned its massive head toward me. Its eyes were swirling galaxies. It stopped. It looked shocked. Bro, what are you doing here? The telepathy was casual, shocking in its familiarity. It's not your time, the giant said. You're supposed to be down there.
You're one of us, remember? You volunteered for the Earth mission." I looked at the giant, and I remembered I wasn't just a sales guy from Chicago. I was a volunteer, a spiritual warrior who had fallen asleep at the wheel. "I need to go back," I pleaded. "I remember now. I have work to do." The giant nudged another entity. "He remembers, but his body is broken. He's clotting." The second entity, swirling with violet fire, stepped forward. "Wait, he left himself a failsafe. He told us to give him the sphere if he came back too early." The entity reached into the ether and pulled out a ball of energy, swirling red, white, and violet. It pulsed like a dying star. "Catch," it said. It threw the ball. I had no hands, so I opened my soul. The ball struck me in the center of my being.
Pain. Cold. Heavy, wet gravity. My eyes flew open. A male nurse was leaning over me, knuckles grinding into my sternum. He looked terrified. "Hey, buddy," he shouted. "Do you know who you are?" I knew who I was. I was infinite energy squeezed into a dying suit, but I whispered, "Brian." "Good news," the nurse said, shaking. "We broke the big clot. Bad news, 3 smaller ones are moving. Heart, lungs, brain. We're putting you under, cracking your chest." He reached for a syringe, the knockout juice. I grabbed his wrist. My hand felt weak, but my will was iron. "No," I rasped. "Do not put me under." The nurse froze. "Sir, you will die." "I need water," I said, the knowledge from the library pouring out of my lips. "I need aspirin, crushed, and I need citrus. Lemons, limes, grapefruit. Bring me the peels." I don't know why he listened. Maybe he saw the fire in my eyes. Maybe he felt the static charge still clinging to my skin from the other side. They brought it. I drank the aspirin water. I chewed the bitter rinds of the lemons and limes, swallowing the oils. Minutes later, the monitor screamed. Flatline. I felt the clot hit my heart. Squish! I coughed, a violent primal heave. Pop! The clot passed. The monitor beeped. The surgeon stood in the doorway, mask hanging off his ear. "How?" he asked. "How did you know to do that?" I looked at him, tears streaming down my face, tasting the bitter citrus oil and the sweet victory of life. I remembered. I just remembered. I am not the man I was. The sales quotas, the anger, the hunger for things, it's all ash. I walk differently now. I can feel the vibrations of the trees. I can see the sadness behind a stranger's smile. We are here on a mission. We are not bodies with souls. We are souls wearing heavy coats, trying to remember how to dance. Don't wait for the Velcro to rip. Don't wait for the light to fade. Wake up. Please, wake up.